Welcome into the DGD Podcast, brought to you by our friends over at Alumni Hall and powered by the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Robert Reynolds. Got our guy, Dan Kiley, down below. Bringing on a little special guest, Harrison Reno, on the show.
Rob.
Welcome back, sir. Welcome back.
Sorry. Thanks for having me back, dude. When you texted me, was it Sunday or Monday? I missed it originally. I was like, oh, wait, I got a DM. I was like, oh, it's my boy Rob. And then you said what was coming up on the show today. I was like, oh, yeah, I can't miss this. I just can't.
This one, after the chaos that ensued this weekend in college football, definitely not the show you want to miss on this one. Just going to let that be known.
I hope the listeners feel the same way, dude, because this is going to be can't miss.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anyways, Dawgs win 59-21 over UMass. Wait a minute, 21 points. We're going to break it down. We're going to give an in-depth preview or recap, give a recap of the game Saturday. Dawgs clinched the SEC playoffs, the SEC championship with a potential to go to the playoffs because we don't know how the committee's going to handle that, but we'll see. Talk about that, and then Keon's Court is back. If you're not familiar with Keon's Court, I highly suggest you tune into this one. For listeners on the podcast, trust me, you're going to love it. With that being said, though, let's get started. Dan, Harrison, 59-21. Overall thoughts and takeaways on that game.
Go ahead, Harrison.
You want me to go? You haven't spoken this show.
Yeah.
Go ahead and open your mouth.
The offense did what they were supposed to do. I was actually really impressed with the offense. Just complete control, complete domination, as it should be, as to be expected. Well, you can't even say as to be expected because you were just hoping that it's a continuation of the improvement that we've seen. Defense left a lot to be desired, but Kirby chalked that up to effort, and I think that's 100% true because defense is effort more than anything else.
Yeah. I was like, I wanted Dan to get out what he had to say because we're gonna step on each other's show. We just pre-recorded our podcast not long ago, so I was like, well, I said this last time, so he could take my stuff and I'll add some of the points he made on there. But yeah, I think like Dan said, the offense handled business. The defense left a lot to be desired. And I won't want to give away my take going into the Georgia Tech game just yet, but I do feel like maybe that's just a product of maybe not taking UMass so seriously. And we've seen from Georgia teams in the past, there's, the games like this where, hey, there's a lot left to be desired on one side of the ball. And I think defense was that. But in terms of going into the future, I'm not too worried that there's going to be something like this where the defense just totally just craps the bed here. I feel like, from here on out, it's a one-game season. So, and that's my biggest takeaway. It's a one-game season from here on out, boys. It is, you win, you're in. If you lose, you're going home.
No, you're not wrong. I think another thing too. All right, let's start off talking about this. Let's break down what went wrong first, because there are a lot of people are hesitant and they're pissed off, and I get it, right? I think you look at the 12:45 kick. I think you look at honoring the seniors, things like that. The emotions from the seniors in that right there. It's always a little bit finicky, right? It's a little bit finicky when you deal with things like that. But there's no excuse for the fact that you gave up that many yards, especially in the first half, right? In the second half, we can sit there and look at it in a sense of, hey, cleared it up. They didn't really move the ball too much. They're crazy catch for a touchdown. Threw it into double coverage and somehow got it and then scored. I heard a lot of people criticizing the effort there on the secondary. I get it, but then at the same time, we saw quarterbacks and running backs just running free that first half. I saw the crazy stat was UMass had more rushing yards in the first half than we gave up to Tennessee in the whole game against Tennessee, and I thought that was very telling. Just in a sense of, I don't necessarily know if the guys were really looking at this game with their full attention, how prepared they were for this game. Were they looking to Georgia Tech? Who knows? But hearing that sack kind of told me a little bit. And I think defensively, they just weren't necessarily like as prepared as they typically are. But I mean, I want to get y'all's thoughts on that too. I was surprised that the linebackers did not fill gaps correct a lot. Like, it just didn't feel good.
I think, and I'll hit linebackers first. I want to go back to the secondary real quick. I think we've seen that at least sometimes this year in some games. I'm trying to think back to exactly what game I'm thinking of. I think Mississippi State took Georgia by surprise a little bit in terms of their passing game. I think they were expecting them to be a little bit more ground heavy. So I think they focused a little bit more on their ground game. And we saw that didn't, they got beat through the air a couple times that game. And I think maybe the same thing goes with UMass. I think Georgia came into the game expecting, hey, they're not going to run on us. They're going to be passing heavy. And that wasn't how the game played out. UMass was very successful in getting their run game against the Georgia defense that typically stops the run, takes away the run really well. So I think, as Kirby said post-game, there was, I think, a lack of preparation there, maybe a little bit unprepared for just the volume in terms of rushing attack. And I think that goes right into what you say, Robert, in terms of, hey, the linebackers are overplaying some runs, shooting into the wrong gaps, and there's problems there. And then real quick, and then I'll let Dan speak, and hopefully I don't steal his thunder here. I do think, in terms of the secondary and that one jump ball, I think it's become a byproduct almost of this season is these DBs have a hard time, especially the corners, getting their head around and finding the football, tracking the football. And that's why they're not receivers, just point blank. If they could track the football, they'd be receivers. But not to dunk on them like that. But I just think that's a byproduct of an issue this year. I won't say it's an effort issue. I disagree with that because I just don't. I just think that's a struggle. That's just a weakness in their game right now that they're trying to play. And then there's the issue of, hey, that's a hard play, a tough play for Dan Jackson to make. And I loved watching him run over there. He showed off his speed, underrated speed. It's a timing thing. It's like a jump ball. It's like Colby Young versus Alabama. Just mistimed his jumped a little too early, and wasn't able to fight for it that much. I think that's just another timing thing in terms of, hey, Dan didn't get – I mean, I think the timing of, hey, what does Dan want to do? Does he want to go for the knockout shot and try and just hit the ball out of his hands? Like, just hit him so hard he drops it? Or play it in the air, play the ball in the air and try and get out that way? Long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
I think the one other thing that we're missing here is it was an opportunity for UMass to play for their new coach. They just fired their coach the week before, and this is an opportunity. And if you remember, the Falcons went to New Orleans to play the Saints, and they were playing for their brand new coach. And it was a Saints team that we haven't seen all season long, and to be quite honest, I haven't seen since. But when you're playing for a new coach, you're playing for new eyes, right? And I won't say. I mean, obviously, it's UMass Super Bowl, but they played some other big teams too. So they weren't intimidated by Georgia, and they came out and they just had massive effort. And I just think it's one of those things where Georgia didn't match the effort early in the football game. They were able to move the football, run it downhill, and scored early and got Georgia's attention. The pass down the sidelines, it is what it is. I mean, that happens every once in a while. I'm really not going to dissect that play because sometimes crazy shit happens, right? But overall, I just think early in the football game, Georgia just didn't meet their intensity level. But the win was inevitable, and they knew that. And I'm not going to read way too much into it because they just came off of an emotional high of playing two really big football games.
I mean, listen, at least Georgia did win. Just gonna let that be known.
So if they didn't win, I wouldn't be doing this show today. I would be so pissed off. I wouldn't want to talk Georgia football for a long time.
I think Dan would have quit both of our shows, Robert.
Listen, you're never gonna catch me not standing in the paint, even in a loss. But that would have been embarrassing had it happened. But we don't have to worry about that, right? 59-21. Buddy, that'd be. I don't know. I ain't gonna say
at that point because that case would be already just be decided.
Buddy, that'd have been downright despicable. Neither here nor there, though, right? Georgia did win, so we're not here to worry about that. I will say this, though. The future is bright as shit for Georgia. I'm telling you right now, I loved on the defensive side of the ball, what I saw from guys like, I'm telling you now, one of my favorite ones, Quintavious Johnson. He's a fucking avatar, man. It is freaky stuff. If you go back, if you didn't pay attention, it's number 33 on defense. He is a freaking avatar, and it is fun to watch because he is coming off that edge, and he looks like he would play 3 tech, but he's lined up out there, and I'm like, oh, buddy, this is insane. Then you look on the outside, right? There were plays where we saw Ellis and DeMello, and I just sat there and I was like, these guys look like Georgia DBs. That's what I want to see. It's crazy. We're sitting here and we kind of saw the backups really play harder, right? Play harder than the starters, technically, per se, I guess you could say. Kind of not surprised, though, considering the fact that those guys really haven't had – you've had rotation, right? Standard rotation. But outside of that, a lot of those guys haven't truly got the run that we've wanted to see this season. So it's not a surprise that you saw the guys, once they came in, like Jordan Thomas, Quintavious, those guys really putting an emphasis on playing and making plays. Good to see that. Really good to see that, though. Offensively, Sokovie White. Was happy to see Sokovie get some catches, make some plays. Jaden Riddell, right? Those are just a couple of the names. We can't sit here and not say Nate Frazier. Nate Frazier had a damn game. We're going to talk a little about that a little bit more. But Chauncey Bowens looked good. I thought Chauncey Bowens looked good too.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I said I wanted to see I wanted to see Nate Frazier have a good game, and he really did. He took advantage of the situation and played extremely well. I mean, 3 touchdowns, 100 and some odd yards, and pretty much light work. I mean, it's not like he didn't need 30 carries to get it. That's what we were hoping for, and he was able to do it.
Oh, boy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
How's it going, Your Honor?
Reporting live from the House of Pain. Anyways, yeah, we were just talking about the future being bright for Georgia, and we just listed off some names. I wanted to ask you this since you're just hopping in the show. Who stood out to you in regards to making you feel that you feel confident in Georgia moving forward?
Man, that guy Nate Frazier. He is something great.
Nasty Nate.
Great. Nasty Nate. You know, the
Not
Compton
so fast,
Menace.
Nasty Nate.
The Compton Menace. I mean, dude, the future of our running back room. If you're a running back, I don't know how you're not looking at Georgia like, wow, this is the epitome of what a running back is supposed to look like, what he's supposed to look like. You could tell as, the season's will move forward. He's moving a lot more comfortably than what he has when it comes to receiving the ball in the backfield, being able to make plays with his feet. Dude, next year, I'm excited to see what a full off season Nate Frazier looks like, because what a lot of people don't remember is that Buddy came in late. Like, he came in late. He ran track and all of that stuff, so he didn't really get the opportunity to take a full advantage of the off-season workouts. But I mean, man, yeah, he's going to be something dangerous next year.
I want to butt in here too, because about Nate, it's when you watch him, and I think Dan and I have talked about this. When you watch Dejon Edwards last year, you would say, man, how many times did he turn what should have been a minus run into +5? I think Nate takes that skill set to the next level. He's really good making sure he gets positive yardage. And I think that's going to turn up even more, because Kirby talked about post-game, hey, we want to see him be more patient. He's sometimes too fast speed-wise. Yeah. And once he can see, gets that little bit of patience, you're going to see those times where he, cuts into this one hole or cuts in, makes one jump cut. He's going to jump cut to the next one, and he's going to rip it 60 yards, 70 yards. Kind of what we saw DeAndre Swift do, what we wanted to see Dejon do, but Dejon maybe didn't have the breakaway speed that Nate does. I'm with Keon here. I'm really excited to see what he looks like, because, full transparency, guys, if he turns into potentially 1,000-yard rusher, like maybe we're thinking we're seeing shades of now, he's only going to be in Athens for 3 years. No doubt
Right.
about it.
To quote the great Pinky from next Friday, you hitting them corners too goddamn fast. Not really. I was happy to see him hit through the holes that really, really fast. I just thought that would be some fun to talk about right there. But I'm just sitting there looking at it, and I want to bring this up as well. So we're talking about Nate Frazier, and we're talking about all these freshmen. At the same time, there were a couple key guys that dressed out, and that's Roderick and Branson Robinson. And I want to talk about that because while we didn't see them this Saturday, we did kind of foreshadow a little bit that you might be able to see them on, maybe try to give it a go against Georgia Tech. If not, I would assume you probably do see them at the SEC championship game. I'm ecstatic to see Roderick and Branson dressing back out. I really am. Well, I mean, what do y'all make of that?
Well,
I mean,
I was like, just think how crowded that running back room is going to be with those guys healthy and with the Lee County running back. As long as we can hold on to them, that guy's the real deal also. So that running back room is going to be competitive as hell next year, and that is only a good thing. When you've got another guy coming in that's going to pressure everybody for playing time, that's only going to make you better. And that running back, of all the groups that we have, the skill groups that we talk about, and we were kind of down on the running back room. Well, at least I was a little bit because, I was saying we haven't seen that. We haven't seen like a Todd Gurley. We haven't seen a Nick Chubb. We haven't seen somebody like that of that ilk. And I think Nate Frazier has an ability to be that guy. The two Robinsons, they're extremely talented. Unfortunately, because of injuries, we haven't gotten to see what they're really, really capable of. And then you got another guy coming in his high school tape is as good as anybody I've seen in a while. It's going to be hell on people to try to stop that group of running backs next year.
I agree. I guess while we're still talking about the game, Carson Beck, no turnovers again, right? I think that's something that I don't want to feel like I'm jinxing anything, but I'm glad to see that. And the offensive line kept him clean as well. I think there were a couple instances where the protection could have been a little bit better than desired. However, at the same time, Carson Beck doesn't take a sack. Just, you know what I mean? So that's always good. And honestly, moving forward, looking ahead at Georgia Tech and everything, I want that same rotation playing at offensive line. I feel like that's got to be the norm moving forward, but that's just me. Would you all agree?
I'm with you, Rob. Play the best five, whoever that five is, and let's not rotate because a big thing about that position is, hey, you got to let those guys get continuity. And I learned this from Dan in regards to baseball. It's like, and I am a big baseball fan, big Braves fan, but I didn't realize, and Dan told me this. I learned this from Dan. When you change, it's like when you change the lineup in baseball, and you have a guy that usually bats leadoff, batting let's say sixth. There's something, disrupts his rhythm, disrupts his timing a little bit. Maybe Dan can expound about that better than I can, but I wanted to try and kind of tie that thread into, hey, let the best five guys play together because they need that, because that's something they haven't done much this year.
All right.
Chemistry's key.
Yeah, chemistry is extremely important, especially on the offensive line. That's one of those things where an experienced offensive line that played together is better than when you just add parts. Like, you can have all the talent in the world, but if they can't play well together, then it's never going to be as productive as it can. It's like sometimes your best five is not necessarily the most talented five. It's the five that play the best together. And I think Georgia's been trying to find that all year long. And like you said, in the Tennessee game, they really just ran with the five. And that's probably as good as the offensive line has played. I'm with you guys. I want to see whatever you feel like your best five is up front. Let's roll with it. And just like you said, the continuity, The comfort level of playing and knowing exactly what that guy next to you is going to do. Keon, if you and I are lined up together and I trust you, I know, if I'm passing this off to you, you're going to pick it up and I'm going to get to where I need to go. I don't have to worry about Keon because he's going to do his job. That's really, really, really important on the offensive line.
Coming from a punter too, boys. Let's give him a round. Let's go. The punter knows. I'm kidding. He played tight end, so he was basically another tackle at one point, someplace.
Damn, he's calling you out, man. Jeez.
I know, right? The punter thing is always got to make an appearance.
So yeah, Nate Frazier. So here's some fun facts. Nate Frazier, 136 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, that's a performance. Also, Carson Beck had a couple deep shots. Arian caught a deep shot for a touchdown.
Finally.
And Dom Lovett had a nasty looking over the shoulder catch in the end zone, which is I'd say almost a perfect pass from Beck. So Beck was dealing it as well. Let's do this. It's time to give out game balls. One offense, one defense, or you just do one. Either way, you have the option to do two.
I'm going to go Nate Frazier for the offense, for sure. For the defense, I'm going to have to say KJ Bolden. I felt like KJ Bolden was sliding around a lot this week. Always right there to make the play in some situations. Quarterback almost saved them. Well, quarterback saved them by throwing a dead ball, which if he kind of hit the wide receiver, there was a point where KJ was kind of creeping up. I don't know. I felt like there was one where, if the pass was thrown better, it probably would have been a pick because KJ was like in the right phase to make a play on the ball. But yeah, that's probably who I'd have to give it to.
Okay, so not too bad. You got Nate Frazier and KJ Bolden for Keon. Next person up, who wants to go?
I'll go, and I mean, I don't think Keon's wrong. I'm just going to give it to somebody else just so we're not giving the same answers. I would say offensively, I'd give it to Carson Beck because he did exactly what he was supposed to do. And that's something that we've been wanting to see more consistency out of that quarterback spot, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do. So kudos to him for doing his job and doing it extremely well. Defense, can I give it to somebody who just made the most of his opportunities? Because if that's the case, I'm going to give it to Chris Colt. That guy, he played his ass off. He didn't get as many opportunities as some of these other guys, and maybe he didn't affect the game as much as some of the other guys on every single play. But damn it if he didn't make the most of his opportunities, and he flashed hard, even though they called him Justin Williams during the game. It doesn't matter. The dude played his ass off.
Robert here. I'm going to go ahead and take the last two before so you just have no choices. Defensively, I'll start there. Warren Brinson. Or actually, I take that back. I'm sorry. Hold up. I'll leave you, Warren. Let's give my man Gabe Harris a game ball. I feel like Gabe Harris has been an unsung hero a little bit this year. He stepped up really, really early, had to play out of position. They're playing him at 3-tech a little bit. This dude is not a 3-tech, and he played his role against Kentucky. I think back to Kentucky, he was one of the main rotations in there, kind of giving a blow to Nazir Stackhouse, and I believe it was Kristen Miller at the time, where both those guys played over like 40 snaps that game, which is unusual for Georgia defensive tackles. Gabe Harris made his impact, had the sack that caused the fumble. That dude's just violent. I love watching that guy get after the passer. I'm going to give my defensive game ball to Gabe Harris. On the offensive side, I'm going to give it to the tight end room as a whole. I'm going to use the cheap sheet here. I'm sorry, Robert. I'll leave you the leading receiver, but I'm going to give it the tight ends as a whole, kind of like what we've talked about. The tight ends are back in this offense a little bit. Tight ends are sexy again at Georgia after maybe 10 games of not being so much in the game plan. Lawson Luckey was their top one, but Oscar Delp took the arrow route RPO, 17 yards for a touchdown. Didn't hurdle the guy this time. He decided to just run through him. Give him a little stiff arm on his way down. Didn't let him ankle snatch him. Give it to the tight end room.
See, you think I don't have options, but I do what the hell I want. So, offense. I'm going
heel turn.
Nate Frazier. I'm sorry. Nate, listen, you get 136 yards, 3 touchdowns. and you look like you've been there, I understand the opponent. Don't trust me. The fact that he looked extremely confident running in the between those gaps and everything, and that's just huge. But again, statistically too, can't not deny it. Defensively, Dan, I'm taking yours and going Chris Cole. The hit, clean hit, loved it. Flying around, scoop and score, right? Things like that. But if you wanted me to be honest, I'll try to make it out. Defensively, right? Honorable mention just to play y'all's game. Warren Brinson, I'll give that there. Offense, Arian Smith. I think Arian Smith was one of those that needed that and got it again. Connected on a deep shot makes you have to respect it now too. So
I wanted to add or finish your point. I had a stat to bring, Robert.
Ooh.
Yeah. I learned this today, courtesy of my friend and coworker Patrick Garvin. Can y'all guess the last time Georgia has rushed, or actually, let me rephrase this. What was before this season? What year did Georgia rush for their lowest yards per rush attempt in a season? Can anyone guess? Just name the year.
2022 Kentucky. No, 2019 Kentucky.
Or no. In like overall in the season, season overall.
Oh, overall season. Overall season.
The one with Brendan Douglas playing running back that year?
You're close, but it's a few years before that.
I'm out.
I'll say this. Think of the years. It's in the 2000s, before in the 2010s. It's before Georgia had a star running back in that room.
2011.
I was about to say 2012.
2011, 3.9. Best running back in the room was Isaiah Crowell. Right now, they're averaging 4.2. It's the lowest yard per carry total they've had since then.
That's also a testament to how banged up Georgia's been to it, running back, and how young you've had to see guys. Now, to be fair, there's a multitude of things that cause that too, right? Young backs, tough schedule, all that coincides. But either way, that's interesting stat though.
Yeah, but next year they averaged 4.9. We all know who that star running back was. It's Dan Kiley's favorite player.
Todd Gurley.
Hey, the Tarboro legend. Yeah.
Out.
Oh yeah. Let's do this. Let's put the nail in the coffin on this game, and then we'll talk a little bit about Georgia moving forward because we need to talk about this. Any final thoughts on this UMass game?
Yeah, really just running it up on the offensive side, which I love to see. That's it. Appreciate you, UMass. Hope you enjoyed your trip. Pleasure spanking that ass, and I'll take this check.
I thought we were 63, and we almost got there.
Would have been nice. For sure.
I will say this. My biggest takeaway. Anytime I don't have to see Brett Thorson on the field as a punter, it's a great day for the offense. I'm sorry, Brett. It does suck that we didn't get that Georgia didn't get their best athlete on the field. But nice day when the Australian punter did not see the field in other than a holder capacity.
Again, for me, the future's bright. We've seen Nate Frazier look like he belonged, look like he was not a freshman this game. That's only going to do good things for him, hopefully moving forward with his confidence at the very least. Defensively, we saw some issues in the first half. Can't sugarcoat that. Can't let that happen moving forward. Looking at it now, that was your breath of fresh air. Moving forward, you got Georgia Tech in a game where Georgia Tech's going to be ready to go. Then you look at the SEC title game. Then you look at the playoffs if you're there. You kind of get the gist. You get the gist of it now, right? There's no you caught your breath. Now you sit there and you fight. That's just what's going to happen. But future's bright. We saw, DeMelo Jones, Ellis Robinson, right? Hell, you name them. Quintavious, freaking avatar. Jordan Thomas, Nnamdi Ogboko looked good. I ain't gonna lie. I thought Jamal Jarrett was in on the play where they got the scoop and score. for some reason I was looking at the TV and I saw the 5 on the back of the jersey, and I saw a stunt. And I was like, "Ja, what is this?" And then look at it, and I saw 95, and I was like, "Damn, that's Namdi." But that'd have been cool though. That'd have been. I was like, "Damn." But yeah, no, I feel good about the future of the defense. And then you look at the 2025 class and what's coming in there. As we've had our issues, we've had our gripes and complaints. This defense,
I feel like,
folks.
Yeah, I think that the 2025 class kind of just really tells you that Kirby has been listening. He's been listening and he's been watching. Like, okay, we need to get this and this situated. Like, it's gonna happen. And I definitely feel that way with the offensive side of the ball. Like, you go out there and you get you some surefire guys that got sure hands and that can make plays. Really happy for this 2025 class, which we all know we're going to walk away with the number 1 recruiting class this cycle. So really looking forward to that. But yeah, man, couldn't be more excited.
Anyone else got any final thoughts? All right. Now, moving on. So Georgia plays at 12:45, wins 59-21. Does not, at this point, don't really think you're looking at Atlanta right now. And then by the end of Saturday night, Georgia's clinched their SEC title game. Just pure chaos. But let's focus solely on Georgia going to Atlanta. It's good to see that. Good to see it.
Gotta say, I mean, the fact that Kirby was able to lead this team back to Atlanta with having the number 1 strength of schedule, that within itself deserves a lot of high praise. Now, no matter how it happened, the fact that we're here, like in this space with the number 1 strength of schedule, is absolutely insane.
Definitely not perfect, but the fact
but that doesn't, like, to be honest with you, that doesn't matter. To be all the way honest, because not many teams have took on the number 1 strength of schedule in the country and end up going to their conference game, especially when you're talking about you're playing football, you're playing 12 weeks of football in the best conference of college football. And I mean, just like Kirby said at SEC Media Days, you know, humiliation is only a week away. There's a couple of teams, I know, Rob, you're about to get into it, that definitely ran into humiliation this weekend.
Yeah. We'll save it for just a little bit. Y'all know Keon's score is coming, so we know. However, let's kind of set the tone for what we're looking at Atlanta here. So Texas A&M, whoever wins that game, you're looking at Georgia playing that. So let's do this way too early. Is there a specific team that one of y'all are looking at and just been like, I want them in Atlanta? Is there anyone that sticks out to you like that out of those two?
I want Texas A&M. I hate playing the team twice. It's difficult to beat the team twice. Texas is a really good football team. I think Georgia will beat the dog mess out of Texas A&M.
Hear, hear.
I honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I mean, Dawgs is winning no matter what team in Texas shows up to that SEC championship game. I mean, I know people say that it's very difficult to beat a team twice, but you know, you're also looking at the fact that Texas game, Georgia didn't play their best game. It'd be different. I feel like I would feel completely different on that game if Georgia came in there. If they came into Austin and really just laid it on them on the offense and the defensive side. That wasn't it. You know, I feel like there's more room for improvement on the offensive side more than anything. Defense, you come out and give us that type of performance, yeah, it's going to be a whole lot to a whole little. Really doesn't matter to me who we play. I think we get the dub regardless.
Coach Smart, what do you have to say about your opponent of choice?
Told him, how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told him. Told him, how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told him. Told him, how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told him. Told him, how about them fucking.
Either way, I think he was just, how about them fucking dogs? So he's gonna say that to you. Simple enough.
As Dan says, if you're scared, get a dog.
If you're scared, go to church.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, If I had to choose though, Texas would be interesting again, and I say that because you've seen them, and you know what you can do. You have to expect for them to make the adjustments. However, Quinn Ewers and being in question and being banged up, you're bringing in Arch. It's interesting, right? You still have to game plan against it, but if you bring that same performance, what you did in Austin, to Atlanta, I don't think it'll matter.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm saying Texas over A&M, A&M's got a super mobile quarterback in Marcel Reed. And we've seen to struggle at times with mobile quarterbacks. Now, to be fair, I think the passing
Everybody
downfield, downfield, you got to be able to cover things like that, but it's going to force you to spy for sure if you see Marcel Reed. We pinned our ears back and we hunted for, you see what I'm saying, in Austin. I mean, way too early. I think you could see Texas, but I think regardless of who you see, just play your brand of football and beat the shit out of people and be done with it and get the bye in the playoffs.
Can we get Muschamp to take control over the defense going into the SEC championship game again? Like just like how he did when we went into Texas. That's the real question, right? Because if you're telling me that Muschamp has his hands on the defense, I like the Dawgs all the way through, no matter who you put in front of us.
Yeah. Speaking of this, since we've talked about the SEC title game, things like that, I do want to kind of bring it back a little bit. Let's make a predictions. Where do we think Georgia falls in the rankings tomorrow? Does anybody want to make it? So you think they're going to move Georgia to 2, even over Texas?
Yeah,
I think Georgia's 6.
No, I'm talking about as far as you know how they'll have Oregon,
the playoff seedings. Yes, playoff seedings. Yes.
Yeah,
so you think they're going to bump? So you think they're going to bump Texas down and put Georgia there?
Yeah. Because the reason being is because our spot is already clinched.
I get it, but they're still going to. Well, I get it.
I think just looking at the teams that I think they're probably going to put ahead of them, I think if they're feeling nice, they will, at the very least, I think they give Georgia 8, which would put them in the last spot to host a playoff game.
Dude, that would be because they're 10 or they're the 10 seed right now. Dude, with everything that happened this Saturday, there's no reason why we shouldn't be any lower than 7.
Yeah,
Let's be
I
honest.
agree. I think Georgia's better than. I think you could say Georgia's better than everybody, and they have the head-to-head win over Texas. But just looking at how they've ranked things in terms of only looking at the loss column, I think they're still going to be behind Penn State, probably Notre Dame, and I guess Miami. Miami is going to be your ACC champ or projected ACC champ, so they'll get one of the top 4 seeds.
Don't sleep on SMU.
Oh, I forgot about SMU. I'm curious to see now that you say that. Thank you for bringing that up. We'll see who the ACC top seed is. I'd be curious if Miami's the top seed in the ACC. Does SMU get put over Georgia? That's going to be the litmus test in terms of if this committee is going to actually
shouldn't
the 12 best teams.
If Georgia wins out, there's no reason for no. You got to win out if you're Georgia, but
I don't think Indiana's going to free fall like they should. Indiana should.
I don't think that Indiana should free fall.
No?
Considering what else happened?
No.
Everything else that happened.
No. I'm not. I don't think that Indiana should free fall at all. I'll go as far as to say that if Notre Dame loses on Saturday, they shouldn't free fall. You're looking at teams that got 3 losses, fellas. Look at teams like even Alabama. The simple fact that they are, if Boise loses, if Clemson loses, Tennessee loses, they're back in the playoffs.
It's despicable work, but yeah.
Indiana's best win. They have not beat a team with a 500 record or better all year
with a pulse.
I mean, come on, guys.
Notre Dame lost to a team without a pulse.
How many wins does NIU have?
I have no clue.
I will say that.
Oh, my bad. My bad. I think we're about to say the
You owe
same
me a
thing real
Coke.
quick.
You owe me a Coke.
So I'm from the perspective, and Dan and I talked about this before our show, and it's difficult in terms of, yes, like people say, and I hate this line. I hate it. The games have to matter. I agree. Yes, the games have to matter. But how do we pick which games matter more than the other? And it goes back to the simple discussion of, hey, is Georgia in if they lose an SEC championship game? Our answer is yes, with their resume, they should be in. But when you look at the other resumes and say Georgia's the same resume, same losses as Ole Miss and Alabama, how do I think the committee's going to rank them? One of those two teams is going to get over Georgia is how I feel like what they've shown us. They've shown us who they are. I'm not saying that's right, but
they left us out last year.
Yeah,
bro. I'm gonna be honest with you.
If we're ranking by losses, we're not getting the best 12,
bro.
It's the wrong way of doing things.
If we beat Georgia Tech, which everybody here feels like we're gonna do that, we beat Georgia Tech, we're a lock for the playoffs. No matter how that SEC championship game goes.
Yeah, I think Keon is right to a certain degree. I think if you win one of the two, it's just dependent on your seeding at that point.
Yeah, like literally. Because then you got to also think like, fam, number one strength of schedule in the country. Like this is one of those ones where it's like, if we beat, let's just say we go up against Texas A&M in the SEC championship, right? We beat Georgia Tech. We lose to Texas A&M. If you leave Georgia out, Kirby Smart, Brooks, at least half of our games need to be like Mercers and Citadels and Marshalls moving forward. That's what it needs to come down to.
I will say this, and I think while they will say what they want to say publicly, they've already told you strength of schedule is not a big criteria. They value your record over strength of schedule. It is
which is shitty.
Yeah. So their ranking team, like Notre Dame, has one loss, and their strength of schedule doesn't compare to Georgia's, but still, it doesn't matter. They're going to
look at Boise State literally limping with the teams that they're playing, and they're guaranteed to shoe in basically if they went out.
Aren't they a G5 school?
Yeah.
Well, they were given that one space anyway, Rob.
I get that, but when you look at the other teams, that are playing, at least they're playing Power 4 teams. So by default, when the 12-team playoff was set up and the inclusion aspect of bringing a G5 in, this is what we're getting. I'm not saying Boise State doesn't belong, but when you look at their schedule, let them get this dog shit kicked out of them first round, and you're going to have these same discussions where, are we sure we want a G5 in there? Because it's going to be like this regardless. We'll see. Shit's going to play out. But
we just all have to come to grips with it's not going to be the best 12, guys. I mean, it's just at the end of the day, it's not going to be the best 12 teams in the country.
I don't think it ever will be.
It's going to be
you got committee with their own interests.
Yeah. It's, like you got the guy running it as a Big Ten guy. He's going to put all of his Big Ten teams in there. You just
look at all the big look at the top of the damn rankings. You had Indiana at 5.
Penn State. I mean,
you had 4 of the
fraud.
top 5. You had 4 of the top 5 being Big Ten teams, and
which is exactly why like Kirby needs to get these guys' mindset right, and it's not even just Kirby. It's like the players need to really understand. Like, guys, y'all will be in a whole nother Florida State situation all the fuck over again if y'all don't come out here and win these next 2 games. Like, there can't be a slack off period. All of that has to be behind. That has to be behind them, because if not, and you get caught slipping against Texas or Texas A&M in the SEC championship game and fuck around and lose, you might not get in. And I think that would be complete and utter bullshit. Especially after we just watched not too long ago Georgia hang half 100 on fucking Florida State. So it's kind of like, To me, I don't know. I just look at it like you get another year where Georgia is yet again sitting right at the doorstep. I mean, one thing could go wrong. It could. We could end up losing to Georgia Tech. We could end up losing in the SEC championship game. But if we win our final game of the season, go into the SEC championship game and lose, and they leave us out, like at that point, it's like, Kirby, don't even schedule these games anymore. Don't.
I'll add this. Speaking about compare this year to last year, let's think about it this way too. How many times did Kirby talk about the playoffs last year before the SEC championship game, the rankings? I think he gave his standard answer we're not focused on that. And yes, while he has given that, there's been less consistency in terms of that. Kirby has been more outspoken about the playoff rankings this year than he has any other year in my memory. Mm-hmm. He has said it in post-game interviews on television in front of the world that he doesn't know what they're looking for. He doesn't know what their criteria is. He's called them out, which to me is a change in messaging from him, which I believe is a sign of, hey, in that building, they know what I think a lot of us are saying is there is uncertainty if they lose. There is massive importance on the SEC championship game for them because there is that possibility, which I do think could happen, that they get left out. Not saying it's right, because like I'm with Keon here, it shouldn't happen. But the committee is full of NFL parody wannabes that want to just say, hey, you are what your record says you are, and they don't care if you play Northern Illinois or Clemson in the season opener. It just doesn't factor in for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, either way, we're going to see what happens in the rankings tomorrow. I know there's going to be a huge shakeup. You might not see Indiana drop as much, even though they got their ass beat. That's just what it is. But it doesn't help when the SEC implodes on itself and eats itself alive in one night.
The easiest cover of the year.
Yeah,
and someone's going to be upset. That's what's certain. There will be somebody upset.
You always going to have that.
I honestly feel like what they're going to do is try to set this up for Alabama to make the playoffs. And I think it's going to be hilarious because we're all going to watch it and we're all going to see it.
I'm telling you right now, man.
Like, what the fuck?
The last question before we get to Keon's court is this. Of the 3 lost teams that we're seeing right now, out of these 3, which one would you, if you were the committee, which one would you put in and why? Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Alabama.
They've been the more consistent team. Recently, they've gotten hot at the right time. They don't have 3 really bad losses. Kind of like I think Ole Miss has 3 really bad losses other than LSU, which some will say it's a bad loss. And then Alabama is just, it's weird because Alabama has shown really high highs and they can beat anybody at their best, but they've shown they can lose to just about anybody at their worst.
Alabama has the worst losses in the conference.
Yeah, of the three teams.
I mean, you lose to Oklahoma.
No, they have the worst losses in conference. They do. You have an unranked Vandy, you have an unranked Oklahoma, and then you have Tennessee. And
think about it.
Here's the thing: in all 3 of those games, actually, outside of Oklahoma, in Tennessee and Vandy, you're talking about a garbage time touchdown, which makes the score look the way it does. Like that Vandy game, they really beat them by double digits. They just scored in the last 2 minutes of the game to make 2 to 3 minutes of the game to make it look like, oh man, the score was close. It wasn't fucking close.
Didn't you see what happens in Oklahoma? Like you kick a field goal, that's it.
Fam, 3 fucking points. What was the point of them showing up? Tell me.
Look, I'm just here to tell you,
special teams matters.
If it's between those 3 teams, Alabama's going to get in because this is a television product. It's a television product. It's the most eyes, the most money. They're getting in. I mean, we can make all the arguments in the world we want, but that's not.
No, that's a fact.
I'll tell you this, though, man. To be fair, Dan, your point is accurate. However, let South Carolina go on the road and beat Clemson, and let them put the South Carolina Gamecocks in a damn playoff. Shit's gonna get nasty because I don't think a lot of people want to see that damn defense. I didn't say they would. I'm just saying, hypothetically, if you put them in, ain't nobody going to want to see that damn D line. Ain't nobody want to see that.
Boise.
And they're starting to use
Clemson.
Nick Harbor too. And they're starting to use Nick Harbor as well. That's the key too.
Boise, Clemson, Tennessee. Those 3 teams lose, Alabama's in.
Well, you know how many Georgia fans would be pissed the hell off, and not even just Georgia fans, like college football fans are going to get sick having to see that.
I mean, here's the question, right? Let's say all 3 of those teams lose. Let's say we beat Georgia Tech, we go to the SEC championship game and we lose. What do you do?
If they put the thing about it is the precedent. If Georgia goes to the conference title game, loses that game, if you don't get embarrassed, that's the key in my opinion. If you play and lose close and you get bumped out completely, you realize what you've just set, the precedent that you just set for every conference title game. Ain't nobody going to want to fucking play them. Nobody.
Doesn't matter if we get. Doesn't even. Let's say we get embarrassed, Rob. Let's say we play Texas A&M and they beat us by 17 points, 21 points. What do you say?
If you get left out, you're still setting a precedent that you shouldn't go play the fucking conference championship game.
I think in terms of what's the better loss, splitting the 2-game series with Texas is probably better for Georgia, because if you lose to A&M, who would have to have beaten Texas, then not only would A&M get your bye week, but then, maybe Texas slides in there. Maybe they ignore the head-to-head and say, hey, Texas only has 2 losses, Georgia has 3 losses. Yeah.
Very possible.
So I think if you split the Texas series 2 into, 1 apiece, then it's like, hey, well, Georgia's win on the road at Texas is really impressive, and Texas got it back is also really impressive. We need both teams in. I think that maybe that's the most straightforward case.
Yeah. Or just win the fucking game.
Yeah, or just win it.
Listen, that's keeping it simple, right? That's the key. But hypothetical chaos, right? It turns into real chaos when shit like Saturday happens.
No, real shit. Because now it's all close proximity to really happening.
Yeah. We're gonna take a quick break, and on the back side of this break, guys, it's time to hold some teams accountable for the crimes that they committed. You know what that means. It's time for Keon's Court. Stick around for this quick break. It is time. All rise. It is time. You know where it is, Keon. It's time for Keon's Court. All rise.
Give me 1 second.
Honorable Judge Keon presiding over cases today. I have 6 cases for the crimes committed on the weekend of the 23rd of November 2024. For those that are not familiar, if you're brand new to Keon's Court, this is holding accountability for teams for the crimes that they've committed. Stick around. You will understand as this goes and continues. Excuse me. With that being said, the first case of the night, the case of Army v. Notre Dame. Army is being charged with impersonating an officer for having no defense and no defense at all. Security compromised, and definitely not looking like cadets at all.
Your Honor, as the plaintiff in this case, defendant. No, I forget exactly.
Who are you defending?
I'm defending Notre Dame here. Army's guilty.
You were the plaintiff. You were the plaintiff. You were the plaintiff.
Yeah. Sorry, I got those mixed up. Army's totally guilty here, Your Honor. I mean, come on. Did we really think that we're going to have 2 service academies having great years and making playoffs, going to be undefeated up until, they made each other in America's game. No, just fantasy. It's fugazi. Wasn't going to happen. Army's guilty. Go ahead and charge them. Put them away. We can go ahead and throw that away. I'm sorry. I love the service academies. I appreciate you for everything you do. But playoff team? Not here. Not right now.
Your Honor, I'm here to say that Notre Dame hates the troops. That's my defense. They did it out of spite. They physically assaulted us for 4 quarters. Knowing that we had the uniform on, they saw it. They saw exactly what it was. They just hate the troops. That's all I can say. They should not have assaulted us like that. Should not have assaulted us like that. And to be fair, I will be a lieutenant when I come out of the academy, by the way. It's just what we do. That's just what we do. Any final words? Any defense plaintiffs have any final comments before the judge calls the verdict?
Nope.
No
All
witness
right.
can stand, Your Honor. We're good for the verdict.
All right. So I guess in this instance, the judge apparently is taking a break, and I don't know where the judge went. Apparently, he didn't let us know that there is a court being adjourned for a lunch break. But he did mention beforehand, in the case of Army v. Notre Dame, Judge Keon finds the verdict or finds the defendant guilty. Oh, man. Next case, we are looking at Colorado v. Kansas. Playoff hopes to the ground in cold blood. All right, cold-blooded arson right there, boy. I will be the defendant. Listen, Shadur Sanders had one of the dirtiest hits put on him. I find it remarkable that he was even able to play. I don't think he was playing 100% by any means after that hit. Honestly, the hit should have been something that they had looked at. I think that was intentional targeting. Could have absolutely hurt him. Absolutely hurt him. Yeah, that's just where I'm at there.
Your Honor, the referees are incompetent, and while that hit is justified, they're justified to feel upset about it. The hit that really needs to be talked about is Shadur putting his hands on an official.
Interesting.
Dan, I'm sorry I cut you off. What were you going to say?
I don't remember.
All right.
You ruined it. Thanks.
Hold it against the defendant, please.
Yeah, no, we'll strike it down.
Your
We'll
Honor,
strike it down.
the defense rests.
Guilty. Guilty as fuck. Guilty. Not only are you guilty as fuck, fined as fuck, jailed as fuck. Next case.
Your Honor, the verdict or the case of Texas A&M v. Auburn. Texas A&M is being charged with counterfeiting for thinking that they were going to just slide into the playoffs easy. Your Honor, there's no reason why you should go to 4 overtimes with an Auburn team that is, let's be honest, subpar.
Yeah, that's fair.
You made it an interesting game, but it shouldn't have been interesting. If you're this team that has expectations of going to the conference title game, I think you should have handled business a little bit better.
Your Honor, I'm going to defend Texas A&M, and I'm going to let you know that Nick Saban, the greatest coach of all time, told you before the game, the place is haunted, sir. Crazy, supernatural things happen and it happened to us. So we are innocent of all charges because it was supernatural. It was divine intervention.
Was it a night game?
Yes.
Oh, see, that's when shit get extra spooky.
It was spooky, sir. I mean, we were scared.
Your Honor, should a conference title contender, playoff contender, be quote unquote scared to play my defendant Auburn, the plaintiff Auburn?
Oh no, we're scared of the building, sir. The team is no matter. It's the building.
I'm not gonna lie. That both of these are great arguments. Holy shit! But
you
y'all did that
opportunity. Now you had opportunities. Texas A&M had opportunities to keep this game going. Not only, but you had opportunities to win this game. You came down, but you should have never let us be in front to begin with.
Yeah, I mean
the spirits, sir. The spirits did it. We didn't do it. The spirits did it.
Your Honor, listen. There's nothing spooky about Jordan-Hare other than the tumor's corner. That's it. That has nothing to do with.
Excuse me, sir. Kick six, Gravedigger last year. I mean, for God's sakes, the name of the play is Gravedigger. I rest my case.
Prairie Jordan-Hare.
Your Honor, why are we looking back to 2013 and sure last year? That bit us, not you, not anybody else.
That's fair. That's also fair. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Harrison, do you have anything that you'd like to add in on this?
No, Your Honor, I think we trust your verdict. I think you have great judgment today.
Yeah,
it looks like you benefited from your lunch break.
Yeah, definitely. Had a great recess. Came back well focused. But with that said, yeah, I understand, right? Like I get it, Texas A&M. I definitely get it. But still, y'all are supposed to be a playoff team. And the simple fact that Auburn had y'all shitting 10 pounds each and every overtime, that's disgusting, right? Y'all are guilty. Next case.
Your Honor, the next case, Indiana v. Ohio State. Indiana is being charged with false statements for being, quote unquote, the 5th ranked team in the nation.
Is it March?
No, sir, Your Honor. It is November.
Yeah, it's football season. Y'all are a basketball school. Let's get this over with.
Your Honor, the Ohio State basically proved to the world that Indiana completely lied. However, there was a conspiracy to create these false statements when you have national media pundits saying that they were deserved to be there with a strength of schedule that is over 100. It is outside the top 100 in strength of schedules. However, they were ranked 5th, Your Honor. Ohio State did what was expected of a number 2 team to the quote-unquote number 5 team, Your Honor, and I think that should go into account.
Your Honor, I'm as a key witness in this case, I'm just gonna let it be known this was some CFP propaganda, some Big Ten propaganda being put across here. Indiana is not one of the top 12 teams, better yet, not one of the top 8 teams. I mean, false statements out the yin yang. I don't even know if they have a defense lawyer here today.
No, as the third chair on the prosecution, I'm going to let you know that it was complete fugazi that they were a top team, and everybody in the country knew that Ohio State was going to win. And not only were they going to win, they were going to comfortably cover, sir. A lot of people made a lot of money betting Ohio State this weekend. It was easy money, sir. It was easy money.
Your Honor, someone is actually handing me some documentation, some newfound evidence, quote unquote, for this case. Let me read this. Indiana,
no, actually, bring that over so I can kind of see it.
Your Honor,
bullshit.
Yes, it looks like Indiana while losing the way that Indiana did, other teams that are also in this courtroom today decided to do more despicable things, verifying and justifying his place in the college football play. This was from a defendant.
It said there was more. It said that there was more despicable things happening outside.
Correct.
Of Indiana.
Apparently, they are placing blame for, Your Honor, for Ole Miss, Indiana, or Indiana's also pulling Alabama. That is correct. Yes, Alabama.
Auburn. Are y'all poisoning trees again? We'll get back to it. Either way, look, I'm gonna be honest, right? I'm very familiar with the state of Indiana. I understand that y'all are an amazing school when it comes to like basketball, and I realize that your schedule has been filled with, rowing teams and water polo schools and wrestling schools. Not necessarily football schools. Kind of shocked you have a football program. But hey, you played Ohio State. You got your shit kicked in. A lot of people bet on it. I'm not going to say that I'm one of them, but made a little something on the back end, But nevertheless, I find y'all guilty. Probation for sure. For sure on probation until next football season. Who's next?
Your Honor, next up, Your Honor, is the case of Ole Miss v. Florida. Ole Miss is being charged with identity theft for being a playoff contender and lying about it.
Your Honor,
that sounds like some Lane Kiffin shit. What's up, Harrison?
As the plaintiff in this case, I just wanted to lay this out to you.
All
All
right.
we heard all offseason, even after the Georgia win, was this is the most talented roster Ole Miss has ever had. I think we need to charge them with highway robbery. $12 million or whatever it was that they paid for the roster. They just went over there and just tampered with everybody else's schools, just took their rosters. I mean, not only is this should be named as the greatest waste of a team ever in the college football playoff era.
Your Honor, being from the state of Mississippi, I just want to let it be known that we beat that Bulldog team down in Athens. We beat them. They came down and they took an ass whipping. I just want to let that be known. That is my defense. We beat Georgia.
All right. So who else you beat?
Sir, that doesn't matter, Your Honor. We beat fucking Georgia. That's all that matters.
I also lost to Kentucky, Your Honor.
Sir, that doesn't matter. I want that revoked from the script here.
Sir,
how many fucking basketball schools are in here?
I want to call my witness to the stand. I have a Daniel Kiley that can speak as a chief witness in this case.
Okay.
No, you can't. It's
Your Honor, I object. Your Honor.
That
Georgia win should mean something.
That's fair. That's fair.
Listen, I can't defend Ole Miss. Every single time that they had an opportunity to win a winnable game, they don't do it. They really geared up for one game all season, sir, and they did. They beat Georgia.
Your Honor, I just want to let it be known he ain't shit to me, sir. I'll do this shit my damn self. We beat the fuck out of Georgia. We beat the fuck out of them.
Sir, not only that, I want to. I think that there should be some looking into Jackson Dart at the end of the game for possibly throwing that game and betting on his on the other team, or taking money or a bribe. Sir, he basically threw 3 interceptions on 3 plays.
I didn't know.
Your Honor, the weather impacted him on that. I'm just going to let them know.
Hold on. So
objection.
He threw 3 picks. He threw 3 picks
in a row,
and then cried in his offensive coordinator's arms like fucking Caleb Williams.
Your Honor, you don't know. You don't know what happened behind them. No, sir, you don't know that. You don't know that at all.
Sir, just
Just
slam your
curled
gavel.
up.
We're
I
wasting.
mean,
Yeah,
honestly, they're guilty as fuck.
Your Honor, we beat Georgia though. We beat fucking Georgia.
Yep, it's time to get old piss out of here. Go ahead and flush them. They did that shit.
Your Honor, the last case of the night.
It better be a good one.
Your Honor, we call Alabama v. Oklahoma. Alabama is being charged with perjury for all the lies Alabama fans being told all season.
Your Honor, as the defendant in this case, I realize this is an impossible case. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm not even going to not take my arthritis medicine because the glove fits. All right. So I am here
to quit this time.
Plead guilty.
Shout out OJ. RP.
I'm here to plead guilty in hopes of pleading down my sentence to potentially have a shot at backdooring myself into the college football playoff. I'm guilty. Right. There's no need to argue. I just want a short sentence.
Okay.
Your Honor. Blitz, Bama, blitz.
Dan,
don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide.
All right. Don't get held in contempt. All right. Now, Dan, you have anything you'd like to?
Sir, listen. Us, Oklahoma, is a proud franchise and a proud program, and things haven't been going our way, sir. We're young. We're inexperienced. We were probably a little naive coming into the SEC thinking that we were just going to walk in and just dominate. And we kind of got shown the door really, really early. But you know what? We regrouped. We put together a hell of a game plan, and we shut down one of the best teams in the country, sir. Alabama is Alabama, and Alabama's going to win. But not this Saturday, sir. Not this Saturday.
Yep,
They're not.
Yep, that's clear.
Your Honor, might have a word for myself, please, there, sir.
Your Honor, we're not going to win this courtroom either.
Special teams matters. Blitz, Bama, blitz. Don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide, and we beat Georgia.
All right. So here's the thing that I think is very important, right? Both of y'all claim to wear crimson and cream. We found out that Oklahoma is the real crimson team, isn't that right? Ain't that right, Dan?
That's right.
Absolutely not, Your Honor.
I mean, y'all only put up 3 points.
18 national titles. And we beat Georgia. We own Georgia.
It looks like
roll tide, roll.
It looks like that's the only team. From the loss to
Bama, baby.
From the loss to not only, I mean, you beat Georgia, you lose to Vandy in embarrassing fashion. You go to Tennessee, you get smacked by them, and now here you are, everything in front of you, and you absolutely get your shit kicked in by Oklahoma. There's no other way else to say it. I mean, multiple people, including myself, said that y'all were going 9-3. Your entire fan base argued me all the way down. Look at those Hellcats just driving by.
Damn it, Trey.
I mean, it sounds like your fan base is already trying to leave Tuscaloosa as we speak.
Your Honor, if you predicted that they're going 9-3, then why are we surprised?
Your Honor.
Hey, you know what? It's been a tough year for Alabama
we'll be
fans.
back.
It's been a tough year for Alabama fans. The Yankees lost and the Lakers suck. So I mean, it's just I
don't give a damn about the Yankees right now. We're talking about Alabama Crimson.
Can you lock that man up, sir?
Yeah, no, we gotta put him in it. We gotta put it. One more interruption, he's going in contempt. There's no other.
Your Honor, the defense is going to rest with this. Nick Saban's no longer in Tuscaloosa. It's Kalen DeBoer. We don't even know his name till recently. We are guilty as charged. We just hope to backdoor ourselves.
I didn't even know what kind of accent the fuck that is.
I didn't know either.
Your Honor, man.
Yeah,
defense rest.
Okay, that one needs to shut up. And that was terrible.
Your Honor, may I have a last word?
No. That's not how this works.
Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Are you there? Your Honor, hold on one second. Paul, tell them that Alabama's still real. Okay, please tell them they're still real. Can you do that for me, Your Honor? Come on, Paul, do it for me.
Hey, Paul.
Just do it one time. Your Honor, he hung up on me.
I just think after all of what we've seen this season, I mean, you're absolutely right. Y'all don't deserve to go to the playoffs. Y'all probably will find a way to backdoor your way in.
Lesser sentence.
Fuck no, y'all are guilty as fuck.
Well, that was a great addition to Keon's court. Totally not rigged at all. And there he goes.
Hey, Judge, he said court's adjourned, so it is what it is.
I heard he was having some issues. He had to go to the bathroom earlier, apparently.
It probably did. So it seems like some teams are held guilty of the crimes that they were committed. Let us know what you think in the comments wherever you're watching this. Are the teams guilty? Yes or no? Let us know. Your Honor, thank you for presiding over these cases today. We seem to have some sentences being handed out for the teams, their fans, national media, and legend of all people talking to Paul. That was brutal. That's brutal.
Yeah, that accent
Your Honor,
was brutal.
Your Honor, I would like to do a welfare check on Roll Tide Willie.
Yeah, no, Bama Dan. I need to Bama Dan. Haven't heard from Bama Dan in like a few weeks.
I think it's probably because Bama's got 3 losses right now.
I'd love to know where Bama Dan's at. Can we get an APB on Bama Dan, please? Can we get where is he at? Can we get like I don't know, a silver alert? Would you call it a silver alert? I don't know if he's that old. Maybe an orange alert.
No, but seriously though, when you really think about all of that shit that's going on with them, like just in the midst of one weekend, they go from thinking, you know what, we're on the way to the SEC championship game. Bama's still Bama. There's nothing you motherfuckers can tell me. Roll Tide! All that bullshit that they scream and in the mirror to get themselves hyped up to start their day. And then they just go into fucking Norman, Oklahoma and absolutely get shit on.
Trail of Tears style.
Listen, at the end of the day, Bama just found another way to fuck Georgia.
Stay doing it. Excuse me. That is this week's edition of Keon's Court.
They did that shit.
That they did. Jay Shipes in the comments saying embarrassing. Which one? No, he better not be talking about our segment. I'm definitely thinking he's talking about Alabama. I know Jay Shiesty. With that being said, though, let's wrap this up. These teams deserve to be found guilty of the crimes that they committed. We look forward to rivalry week now. And boy, oh boy, could there be more cases coming up? The world may never know. And Jay Shiesty does confirm that Alabama was embarrassing. Apparently, the judge resided and he agrees in your favor there, sir. But anyways, Harrison, I wanted to thank you for coming on the show, sir. If people are interested on finding you, where can they find you?
Wait a second. Before we get to this part, what I want to know is the standings for the picks. You have the record for that?
Do not have that. We will do that on the next episode. We will do that. I know, if I'm not mistaken, it might be a 3-way tie.
Between who?
I demand a fucking recount.
I think it's Kobe, Keon, and Dan.
For first place.
I will have to confirm. So tune into the next episode.
Hey Harrison, how about you come back next week, Bucko? You always seem to miss these weeks where we go over who's right and who's wrong.
I would like to take credit for Keon's success. I have faded him into out of last place and into being tied for first.
See,
I am the magic behind Keon's picks. The Fade Keon campaign has been an epic success.
See, here's the thing. All of that, you might have a leg to stand on if from the very first time you came on the show, since I was here, you said, hey, look, no matter what you do, what did you say? You said
Fade Keon.
Fade Keon.
Fade. You're like Fade Keon, and I'm like, yeah, please do that all season so you can be horribly wrong on your picks.
I gave you bulletin board material, and you finally took the pick seriously. Now you're winning.
Oh no,
now you're up.
No, I've been walking these people down for the longest of time. I'm not gonna lie.
Me and Juan are just kind of supervising everything from behind. Okay.
Yeah, like I've been walking these guys down for a while now. Right.
I'm waiting for Dan to find form. Dan's been on a losing streak as of late.
No, Dan was way ahead of everybody, and then the hot streak was there. He was talking all of it, and then here we go. Look,
I've got 104 game rights to his 101. It's just the damn bonus points screw me so hard.
This is the chaos that everyone needs. These points, these bonus points.
Fucking bonus points. Everybody gets a trophy.
No, not necessarily. Because everyone else, if you're not first, you're last, baby. That's just how that goes.
That's all that matters. Ricky Bobby.
But anyways, Harrison, where can people find you, man, if they want to follow you, bud?
At Harrison Reno on Twitter. We appreciate you. Appreciate you for having me. And as always, as I have become famous for over here in the DGD, keep fading Keon because he feeds off our fade. And if he's feeding off our fade, why not keep feeding him? So,
if he wins, I'm gonna kick your ass from the street.
Negativity.
He feeds off it. He feeds off it. We know, but if I wanted to say a little heel turn, maybe we fade Dan and get Dan into feeding this negative energy and get back on top.
Dan just needs to get his bonus picks right.
What you need to do is fade Jaden.
Fade Jaden. Hold up. How has the magical? How old is he?
He's 6 still, and he's only a couple points behind, I think.
Hey, if y'all lose to a 6-year-old,
fucking 9 points for picking one
might
game
need
right.
to resign.
Buddy, I'm getting my ass whipped. It's okay. I've already taken that loss. Stop taking that loss. Ain't no chance in hell coming back. Like Vince McMahon once said, ain't no chance in hell. Anyways, that's all we got for this episode. Make sure to come in, like, follow, subscribe. If you're on podcast, we didn't forget about you. Rate and review. Make sure to go to dgdpodcast.com. Check out our sponsors, Alumni Hall. And give us, like I said, just check it out. You can always listen to the podcast. Buy the merch. Find everything. Yes. Christmas is coming. Good Christmas gifts. With that being said, that's all we've got for tonight. Catch y'all later. Let's go, Dogs. Fuck Bama. Fuck Ole Miss. You get what you deserve. You're guilty. Guilty, I tell you. Guilty.
Fuck you, Dogs.